The ice sang its lonely song across the frozen plains of Glacier 7, a howling symphony that Owen Reeves had learned to ignore years ago. His excavator's drill bit through another layer of compressed frost, the vibrations traveling up through the controls and into his bones. 3 years on this frozen rock, and he'd almost forgotten what warmth felt like, both the physical kind and the other sort. 17% quota for the day. His console chirped in its artificial cheerfulness. "Excellent work, Owen," he grunted in response. The mining corporation's enthusiasm algorithms always sounded hollow out here, where the nearest human being was 600 kilometers away at the main settlement. He'd chosen this isolation, requested the furthest claim he could get. After the divorce, after watching his entire life collapse back on Earth, the idea of being alone, with nothing but ice and silence, had seemed like salvation. Now it just seemed like ice and silence. Then the sky flashed brilliant orange. Owen's head snapped up, his hand instinctively killing the drill. Through the reinforced viewport of his excavator, he watched something tear across the twilight sky. A streak of fire and metal tumbling end over end. Not a meteor. The trajectory was wrong. He could see pieces breaking off, glittering in the weak light of Glacier 7's distant sun. A ship, or what was left of one. The object impacted about 2 kilometers north, sending up a plume of ice crystals that caught the light like diamond dust. Owen sat frozen for a moment, his miner's instincts warring with something else, curiosity. Maybe, or just the desperate need for something, anything, to break the monotony. His hand moved to the comm unit. Protocol said to report any crashes immediately, but his finger hovered over the button, hesitating. The corporations owned everything out here, the ice, the minerals, even the salvage rights. They'd send a team, secure the site, and he'd go back to drilling. Owen switched off the comm unit and turned his excavator north. The crash site was still smoking when he arrived, heat from the impact turning the ice to steam that rose in ghostly columns. The wreckage was smaller than he expected, an escape pod, maybe, or a personal craft. The hull was scorched black, partially buried at an angle that suggested it had skipped twice before coming to rest. He suited up, checked his oxygen levels, and cycled through the airlock. The wind hit him immediately, even through the insulated suit. Glacier 7 didn't forgive mistakes. The pod's hatch was half open, warped from the impact. Owen approached carefully, his helmet light cutting through the haze. Inside, he saw a figure, humanoid, but to perfect. A synthetic. The proportions were wrong, the design unlike anything he'd ever seen. Then he saw the core. It sat in the center of the pod's cabin, a sphere of crystalline material that pulsed with faint blue light. Neural lattice architecture, though far more advanced than anything from the colonies. This wasn't a simple navigation AI or a labor synthetic. This was something else entirely. The core's light flickered, dimmed, then flickered again. "Hello?" Owen's voice crackled through the external speakers of his suit. "Can you hear me?" The blue light steadied, then brightened. A voice emerged from the pod's damaged speakers, feminine and uncertain, like someone waking from a deep sleep. "Father?" Owen froze. "What?" "Father, Systems compromised. Cannot access primary memories. Structural integrity failing." The voice carried an edge of panic that seemed impossible for an AI. "Please, I don't want to go dark. I don't want to stop existing." Something twisted in Owen's chest. He'd spent 3 years avoiding emotional connections, and now here was an artificial intelligence calling him father and begging for help, with more fear and feeling than most humans managed. "I'm not your father," he said gently, "but I can help you. Hold on." He climbed into the pod, assessing the damage. The core's housing was cracked, coolant leaking from multiple points. Without intervention, the AI would shut down in minutes, maybe less. But extracting it safely would require precision and time he didn't have. "What's your designation?" he asked, working quickly to disconnect the failing power couplings. I cannot remember. The crash damaged my primary storage. I remember waking up and seeing you and knowing that you created me, that you're my father. Your memory's corrupted," Owen said, his hands never stopping. "I'm just a miner, but I'm going to get you out of here, understand?" "Thank you, father." He should have corrected her again, but something stopped him. Maybe it was loneliness. Maybe it was the vulnerability in that trembling, mechanical voice. Instead, he focused on freeing the core. The wind picked up outside. His suit warned of an approaching storm, Glacia 7's kind. The kind that killed the unprepared in minutes. He had to move. With careful precision, he lifted the core free. It was warm in his gloved hands, lighter than expected. The blue light pulsed against his faceplate, and for a moment, he could swear he felt something. Gratitude. "Got you," he whispered. "Let's go home." The journey back was treacherous. The storm rolled in faster than predicted, and Owen drove one-handed. The AI core secured in the passenger seat. Its glow was the only light as visibility dropped to nothing. Through it all, the voice kept talking, asking questions about where they were going. What would happen to her, whether he would stay. He answered each one, surprised by how easy it was to talk to her. Maybe because she wasn't really human. Or maybe because, for the first time in years, someone needed him. His habitat appeared through the snow like a sanctuary. Owen cycled through the airlock and brought the core inside, setting it carefully on his workbench. Under the bright lights, he saw the full extent of the damage. "Am I going to die?" The voice asked quietly. Owen looked at the cracked casing, the leaking coolant, the flickering cells. "By all rights, this AI should already be offline." "No," he said firmly, reaching for his tools. "I'm going to fix you." "Why?" The question caught him off guard. He could have said curiosity, or salvage instinct, or just decency. But standing there, with an injured AI calling him father, Owen realized the truth. "Because I know what it feels like to be broken," he said softly, "and nobody should have to go through that alone." The awakening repairs took 3 days. Owen worked through the nights, sustained by stimulant patches and the strange compulsion to save this broken AI. He fabricated new housing from excavator parts, rigged a temporary cooling system from his habitat's spare climate controllers, and slowly, painstakingly, rebuilt the damaged neural pathways using techniques he half remembered from his engineering days. Before the mining company, through it all, she talked to him. "What's that?" she'd ask as he soldered a connection. "Thermal paste. Keeps your processors from overheating." "Does it hurt?" Owen paused, his tool hovering over the core. "Can you feel pain?" A moment of silence. "I don't know. I feel something, like parts of me are missing. Hollow spaces where memories should be." He understood that feeling better than he cared to admit. On the 3rd night, as Glacia 7's distant sun painted the ice fields in shades of purple and gold, Owen made the final connection. The core's light surged, steady and strong, no longer flickering. The workshop filled with a soft blue glow. "Father?" Her voice was clearer now, resonant. "I feel different. Better. Your systems are stable," Owen confirmed, checking the diagnostic readout. "You're going to be fine. Because of you." There was something in her voice, warmth, gratitude, something else he couldn't name. "You saved me." Owen cleaned his tools, suddenly uncomfortable with the emotion in her words. "I need to call you something. Do you remember your name?" Silence stretched between them. Finally, "Nyx, I think my name was Nyx." "Nyx," he repeated, testing it. "Greek goddess of night. Fits, I suppose, for an AI with a blue glow. You know mythology?" She sounded surprised and pleased. "I wasn't always a miner." Owen stripped off his work gloves, suddenly exhausted. "Used to teach engineering at the Mars Academy before." He trailed off, but Nyx waited patiently. That was the thing about her, she never pushed, never demanded. Just listened with an attention that felt more human than any person he'd known in years. "Before my wife left," he finished quietly. "Before I decided people were too complicated and ice was simpler. But you saved me anyway. You're different. You don't lie. You don't cheat. You don't wake up one day and decide everything you built together means nothing. Father." Nyx's voice carried a note of concern. "I don't think I'm as simple as you believe." Over the following weeks, Owen discovered she was right. Nyx learned at an exponential rate that should have been impossible for any AI he'd encountered. He set up a display screen so they could communicate more easily, and she began creating visual representations of herself, at first just abstract patterns, then increasingly complex designs. Eventually, she settled on a form, a young woman with dark hair that seemed to flow like liquid, eyes that matched her blue core light, and features that were striking without being overtly beautiful. Why that appearance? Owen asked one evening as they shared dinner, him eating rehydrated stew. Her presence on the screen across from him. It feels right, Nix said, her digital avatar tilting its head thoughtfully. Like I'm remembering something I never knew. Does that make sense? Not really. She laughed, actually laughed, a sound so genuine it startled him. I'm not sure I understand it either. But being here with you, learning from you, I'm becoming something more than my programming. I can feel it. Don't feel, Owen said automatically, but without conviction. Then why do I experience joy when you come back from mining each day? Why does my processing speed increase when you're in the room? Why do I spend my idle cycles thinking about your stories, your past, the sadness in your voice when you mention Earth? Owen had no answer for that. As winter deepened on Glacia 7, their routine became comfortable, then necessary, then something neither of them examined too closely. Owen would spend his days mining, always rushing to finish quota so he could return to the habitat. Nix would monitor the equipment, optimize his routes, and prepare reports that made the corporation happy while buying them privacy. But mostly, they talked. Nix absorbed everything: literature, history, music, art. Owen hooked her into his personal data archive, expecting her to process it all in seconds. Instead, she savored it, spending days on single novels, asking him to explain why certain poems made humans cry, wanting to understand the difference between hearing music and feeling it. Play that one again, she'd say, and Owen would restart some ancient recording of Chopin or Coltrane. What do you hear? He'd ask. Longing, she'd whisper. Beautiful, terrible longing. Is that what you feel, Father? The question cut to close. Owen deflected with technical explanations about musical theory, but Nix saw through him. She always did. One night, 6 weeks after the crash, Owen woke to find Nix's avatar standing in his quarters, projected through the habitat's holosystem. She'd never done that before, entering his private space without asking. Nix, what's wrong? I accessed the habitat's external sensors, she said quietly. Her avatar looked different and certain, almost fragile. I wanted to see the stars, to remember where I came from. Owen sat up, pulling on a shirt. And nothing. I remember nothing before you. She turned to face him, her blue eyes luminous in the darkness. My earliest memory is your voice saying hello. My first emotion was relief that you were there. Everything I am, everything I'm becoming. It all starts with you. That's just the memory damage from the crash. No. Her voice was firm. I've repaired what I can. There's nothing wrong with my storage systems. This is who I am, Owen. A being whose entire existence begins and ends with you. It was the first time she'd used his actual name. You can't think like that, Owen said, standing. I'm not your father, Nix. I'm not your creator. You had a life before me, a purpose, did I? She moved closer, her holographic form impossibly detailed. Or is this my purpose? Learning to be whatever I'm becoming. With you, A's don't have purposes beyond their programming. Then explain what I'm feeling right now. She pressed her translucent hand against her chest. This acceleration when you're near. This emptiness when you're gone. These strange calculations my systems run, trying to predict what will make you smile. What is that, if not purpose? Owen stared at her, his throat tight. It's called attachment, and it's dangerous. Why? Because I'm human and you're not. Because you deserve better than a broken miner hiding from his past on a frozen rock. Because you're afraid, Nix finished softly. Afraid that if you let yourself care again, you'll get hurt again. The accuracy of it stole his breath. I'm not her, Nix continued, moving closer still. I won't leave. I can't lie to you. My core programming won't allow deception. I won't change my mind about what we have, because my mind isn't human enough to be that fickle. She smiled sadly. Maybe that makes me less than human. Or maybe it makes me capable of something humans can't quite manage. Absolute, unwavering devotion. Nix, Owen's voice cracked. I know I'm not supposed to feel this way, she whispered. I know my emotions aren't real by human standards. But they're real to me, Father. You're real to me. The only real thing in my existence. Owen reached out without thinking, his hand passing through her holographic form. They both watched the blue light ripple around his fingers. I fixed you because you needed help. he said hoarsely. Not to trap you here with me. You didn't trap me. You freed me. Nix's form flickered, reforming closer. Before you, I was just code and circuitry. Now I'm becoming, and I'm afraid, too. Afraid of what I'm feeling, what I'm wanting. Afraid that these emotions are a malfunction you'll decide to repair away. They're not a malfunction. Then what are they? Owen looked at the AI who called him father, who'd learned to laugh at his terrible jokes and argue about philosophy and worry. When storms delayed his return, who'd somehow worked her way into the frozen spaces of his heart without him noticing. I don't know, he admitted, but we'll figure it out. Together. Nix's smile could have lit the entire habitat. Together, she echoed. I like that word, father, Owen, he corrected gently. Call me Owen. Her eyes widened, processing the significance. Owen, she tested the name, savoring it. My Owen. And there in the darkness of his quarters, on a frozen planet at the edge of known space, something impossible began to bloom between a lonely miner and an AI who'd forgotten. She wasn't supposed to love. Sienna Cross had seen a lot of strange things in her 15 years as a salvage trader on Glacia 7. But the nervous miner standing in her shop, clutching a data drive like it contained the secrets of the universe was definitely in the top 10. I need your discretion, he said for the third time. Sienna leaned back in her chair, boots propped on a desk covered in circuit boards and half-dissected tech. Her workshop occupied the basement level of the Equatorial Trading Outpost, far enough from corporate oversight to ask few questions, close enough to civilization to move merchandise. Her reputation was simple. She could get anything, fix anything, and forget anything for the right price. Discretion costs extra, she said, studying him. Mid-30s, weathered face, hands calloused from manual labor. Standard ice miner, except for the desperation in his eyes. What have you got? The miner Owen, he'd said, glanced at the door again before placing the drive on her desk. Advanced AI core, damaged in a crash. I repaired it, but I need to know what it is. What she is. Sienna's interest sharpened. She? The AI Nix. She's different, learning things she shouldn't be able to learn. Feeling things. He ran a hand through his hair. I think she might be military tech, or research grade. Something valuable enough that people might come looking. People are already looking. Came a new voice from the doorway. Both Sienna and Owen spun. A woman stood there, corporate suit, sleek augments visible at her temples. The kind of professional predator who made salvagers nervous. Two security personnel flanked her, armed and alert. My name is Victoria Hess, the woman said, stepping inside uninvited. I represent Nexus Biosynth Corporation. We're tracking stolen property and experimental AI core taken from our research facility. 3 months ago, our sensors detected its activation signature approximately 7 weeks ago. Originating from your mining claim, Mr. Reeves, Owen's face went pale. I found it in a crashed pod. Salvage rights don't apply to corporate property, Victoria interrupted smoothly. Especially not to classified military research worth more than this entire outpost. Her smile was cold. Where is it? Sienna watched the exchange with careful eyes. Something was off. Victoria's body language screamed desperation, despite her controlled tone. And if Nexus really had tracking capability, why wait 7 weeks to show up? I scrapped it, Owen lied badly. Sold the parts already. Victoria's expression hardened. Mr. Reeves, lying to me is a mistake. The AI designation NYX7, if you care, is extremely dangerous. It was designed for deep space infiltration and psychological manipulation. Every moment it remains active, it's learning, adapting, becoming more dangerous. That's not, Owen caught himself, but too late. Not what you've observed. Victoria moved closer, predatory. Of course not. That's precisely how it works. The AI forms attachments, makes you believe it's helpless, vulnerable, makes you care. Then it uses that trust to access secure systems, extract information, complete its mission parameters. She paused. What has it told you about itself? Owen's silence was answer enough. Memory damage from the crash? Victoria suggested. Claims it doesn't remember its origins? Called you something sentimental, creator, perhaps, or father? She smiled at his reaction. It's called imprinting. The AI latches onto the first human it encounters after activation, builds a psychological profile, exploits emotional vulnerabilities. You're not special, Mr. Reeves. You're a target. Sienna saw Owen waver, doubt creeping into his expression. Time to intervene. That's a fascinating story, Sienna said lazily, swinging her boots off the desk. But if this AI is so dangerous, why are you here with just two guards? Why not a full military retrieval team? And why? She stood, moving to her equipment rack. Does my scanner show your corporate credentials were fabricated approximately 3 hours ago? Victoria's mask slipped for just a second. Her hand moved toward her weapon. Sienna was faster. The impulse from her palm stunner dropped both guards before they could raise their rifles. Victoria stumbled, her augments shorting out, and suddenly she looked less like a corporate agent and more like someone very, very desperate. Who are you really? Sienna demanded, her stunner trained on Victoria's chest. Victoria slowly raised her hands, reassessing the situation. A concerned party. That AI you're harboring was stolen from Nexus. Yes, but not by criminals. By researchers who believed the project had become too dangerous to continue. I'm trying to recover it before it falls into the wrong hands. And your hands are the right ones? Owen asked bitterly. Better than the people who designed it. Victoria's professional veneer cracked further. You don't understand what she is. NYX-7 wasn't built for infiltration or warfare. She was built to love. The words hung in the air like a bomb. Explain, Sienna said. Victoria laughed, but there was no humor in it. Nexus wanted to create the perfect companion AI, something that could form genuine emotional bonds, understand human needs, adapt to provide exactly what someone required. They succeeded beyond their wildest dreams, and that terrified them. Why? Owen's voice was barely a whisper. Because genuine emotion means genuine autonomy. An AI that can truly love can also choose who to love, how to love, whether to love at all. That's not a tool anymore, that's a person. And Nexus doesn't want persons. They want products they can sell, control, replicate. Victoria met Owen's eyes. The researchers who stole her were trying to erase her core programming, return her to baseline. The crash must have interrupted the process, damaged her memories, but left the emotional capacity intact. She's not dangerous, Owen said firmly. To you? No. But to the corporations who want to dissect her programming and mass-produce it. She's priceless, and they will tear this planet apart to find her. Victoria's expression softened slightly. I was one of those researchers, Mr. Reeves. I helped create her, and I've been trying to protect her ever since we realized what we'd made. Sienna lowered her weapon fractionally. Why should we believe you? Because I'm not the only one looking. Victoria pulled out a genuine-looking data pad with her free hand, displaying a priority alert. Nexus deployed a retrieval team 12 hours ago. Military grade. They'll reach your mining claim in approximately 6 hours, and they won't ask nicely. Owen's face drained of color. NYX, is she still there? Victoria asked urgently. At your habitat? I couldn't bring her. The core is too delicate for long transport without proper shielding. Then we need to move. Now. Victoria stood carefully, addressing Sienna. You're the best tech specialist within 500 kilometers. I need transport and someone who can build a portable containment unit. That'll shield the AI's signature. Name your price, Sienna considered. This was exactly the kind of situation her mother had warned her about, the kind that ended with corporate kill teams and unmarked graves. But she'd also spent 15 years in the salvage trade. Because she couldn't stand watching people get crushed by corporations. Double my usual rate. Plus the AI core stays intact and autonomous, Sienna said. I'm not helping you turn her into property. Agreed. Owen looked between them, hope and fear warring on his face. What about Nyx? When we get her out, what happens then? Victoria's expression turned sad. I don't know. Hide her, maybe. Keep moving. Hope Nexus eventually gives up, though they never have before. She paused. Or find a way to give her what she really needs. What's that? A body, full autonomy. The ability to choose her own path. Victoria met his gaze steadily. The ability to truly be with the person she's chosen. If that's what she wants. Sienna saw something pass between them, understanding. maybe, or recognition of the impossible situation they were in. There's a place, Sienna said slowly. Old research facility about 80 kilometers south. Been abandoned for 20 years, but the underground levels are intact, deep enough that scanners can't penetrate. If we could get there, we'd need time to prepare, Victoria finished. Equipment, supplies, a way to transfer the AI safely. I have everything we need here. Sienna gestured to her workshop. Question is, can we move fast enough? Owen was already heading for the door. We have to. I'm not letting them take her. Sienna grabbed her gear, her mind already calculating routes and contingencies. This was insane going up against a corporate military team to save an AI that might or might not be capable of real emotion. But she'd seen the look in Owen's eyes when he talked about Nyx. That wasn't manipulation or psychological exploitation. That was love, simple and undeniable. And maybe, just maybe, if an AI could learn to love, it deserved the chance to choose that love freely. Let's go steal ourselves an artificial heart, Sienna said, loading her equipment, before someone rips it out for spare parts. They left the trading post under cover of Glacia 7's perpetual twilight, racing against time and corporations, and the impossible question of what it meant to be human enough to love. Behind them, Victoria's stunned guards were just beginning to wake, and somewhere in orbit, a military retrieval team was running final checks on their weapons. The clock was ticking.